So I just made it back.
People are angry at President Biden for pardoning his crackhead son. You got to think about it from Joe Biden's perspective. Joe Biden has dementia. He's barely coherent. It probably has to be explained to him that he has a son.
A friend of mine gave me this quote about 2 years ago, and it's become my mantra. It's Mother Teresa. It was attributed to Mother Teresa. Is if you want to change the world, go home and love your family.
I've watched a lot of things on the internet, mate. But watching a convicted felon, a man who filmed himself smoking crack on his own camera, who left that camera at a repair shop and forgot about it, who's on tape arguing a Ukrainian woman down from $10,000, sit down and quote Mother Teresa about the importance of loving your family. That one got me. Hunter Biden is on the nice guy tour. He's got a book. He's doing Candace Owens. He wants you to see him as a human being and not Hunter Biden laptop. The laptop is still out there. We're going through every single clip.
The guy had some problems. Now, This is self-admitted. And also...
And they have the receipts. And here's the thing. He calls him dozens of times. Because everybody knows when you bring a laptop or anything in, they say, if you don't pay for this, we're going to wipe it and sell it. And so 3 months goes by, 6 months goes by, nobody ever comes and gets it. The guy goes to look at it at the repair shop, the owner, and there's all these 25,000 files, what looks like underage girls, and all the rest of this crazy stuff, and him smoking crack or God knows what. He gives it to the FBI. Ray does nothing, the director, hides it from Trump. And so people, let's just say inside that had copies of that, they leak it to Rudolph Giuliani, who then now has started to put it out. So instead of facing up to it, they just say anyone promoting this, whether it's the House or Senate committees that we're linking to it, or the New York Post or the president's press secretary, you're now banned, which again shows it's election meddling. It's gatekeeping to cover this up. But I'll tell you what else has come out now. His daughter, Biden's daughters, reportedly, and they've not denied it now, this broke 3 days ago, left her diary in a house that she had rented. And the diary talks about all the same stuff and everything.
What the
fuck is wrong with this family?
Going to jump in? Hold on. Hold
Jamie. On. You got to respect a man for pardoning his crackhead son. You respect him. That's his son. That's my son. The other one died of brain cancer because he was in a burn pit in the war. This is the only son I've got left. And yes, he's a crackhead. And yes, he fucks hookers with guns to their head and takes photos of it and puts it on a laptop that he then turns in to get fixed. And then it all leaks out into the press and it's embarrassing. Yes, but he's my son. And yes, he probably did cocaine at the White House. He's my son.
Alex Jones, ladies and gentlemen. He was right. The FBI confirmed they had the laptop. The New York Post ran the story and got banned off Twitter for it. Congressional committees that linked to it, banned. Everyone who touched the story in 2020 got nuked, and Alex had it all laid out years before it was allowed to be said out loud. Shout out Alex, he was right. And then TimDillon, who has, by the way, also done drugs, draws his personal ethical line. Freebase cocaine? Yeah, that happened. But shady business deals in Ukraine while your dad's vice president?
When I was looking into this, the thing I keep seeing people say is that he lived in California.
He lived in California at the time,
yeah. That is true?
That's what I keep reading.
But they fly back and forth to Delaware. I mean, these are jet setters. They fly to Ukraine.
Well, that also might make sense that's why he didn't go back to Delaware to pick up the laptop. Because when you're cracked out in California, it's really hard to make the flight.
All right.
Right?
I don't know.
Hold on. Tim is the only one here who's probably smoked crack.
The FBI confirms they have the laptop
now. I will
now.
confirm it's not an easy flight coming down off cocaine or crack, yeah.
Have you smoked crack or just
I've
coke?
Freebase cocaine, which is
basically the
yeah,
same.
it's close.
How close is it?
Not as close as where I ever went and made shady deals in the Ukraine. Never.
Sweetheart? Hey. Are you okay? Everything fine? Are you hurt in any way?
Okay.
Any way? Are you hurt? Hey. Is anything hurt on you? Anything? I was literally saying, I'm sorry that it took so long to give you $10,000.
If you have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, 1/4 of $1, we passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice.
That was Senator Joe Biden, standing in the Senate, holding up a quarter. Crack cocaine this big, 5 years, judge has no choice. And he looked very proud of himself saying it. That same man, as president, handed his son the broadest presidential pardon in modern American history on the way out the door. A blanket covering a full decade of potential federal crimes. Rules for thee. And then the call. Hunter Biden on the phone, apologizing to a Ukrainian woman for taking too long to give her 10 grand. Are you hurt in any way? Very tender. The man does have manners. The Biden family invented the crack to prison pipeline. Then their son filmed himself doing crack, left the evidence at a repair shop, and got a get out of jail free card signed by the President of the United States. You honestly could not write this.
He's my son, and of course, maybe he's cracked a few women across the face. You know what a crack argument is like? You know what it's like when you're arguing with a hooker on crack? Okay? Standards and practices go out the window when you're arguing with a Ukrainian whore on crack. You can't be held responsible for what you do. No one's at their best when they're fucking a Ukrainian whore with a gun in their head. That's not how any of us should be judged. None of us should be judged like that. None of us should be judged while we're fucking Ukrainian whores with guns in their head, whilst on crack. We should be judged by our paintings or the nice things we say. We shouldn't be judged for our shady business dealings with Burisma, an energy company we had no business working for. That's not how we should be judged. We shouldn't be judged when we toot a little cocaine in the White House, because it's boring. Government's boring. We shouldn't be judged by that. We should be judged by the nice things we do. He's a painter. Look at the paintings. And of course, if you had the chance to make this go away.
I guess I want to start with just one question for the culture. The cocaine that was found at the White House, was it yours?
No, not only was it not mine. No, number one is thank you for having me here. I was drug tested randomly for over the course of 2 years while I went through my trials and things like that. But beyond that is that directly to your question, I wasn't even there. Not only there, but people have to understand is where that cocaine was found was, the visitor's entrance underneath that is where visitors come in and they come over from the old executive office building staff to go to the Oval or go to the chief of staff's office or to the offices in the West Wing. And it was found in a cubby in right outside of the Situation Room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like no possibility, not even remotely.
We should be judged by our paintings. And look, that is not a joke. That is literally what Nice Guy Hunter is asking you to do. Ignore the laptop, ignore Ukraine, ignore the gun charge. Look at the paintings, the ones that sold for $500,000 each to anonymous buyers while his dad was running the country. Judge by that. Now watch him tell Candace the White House cocaine wasn't his. Wasn't even there. 25 days over 4 years. 30 if he's being fair. 25 days, mate. The crack cocaine could not physically have been his because the travel logistics don't support it. Absolutely diabolical.
There's no way when that guy's in the Ukraine banging hookers with guns to their head, because how can you get off otherwise, and he's smoking crack, he's not promising people all kinds of access to his father, and probably more. There's definitely other shit going. There's no way.
Beyond the fact that I wasn't even there. I mean, I spent probably, over the course of 4 years, maybe 25 days at the White House, like 25 nights, 30, if I, am being fair. And so it's just, it was an easy, I'm an easy target, and understandably so.
Right.
I mean, I've been, I think, probably the most famous addict and famous person, through the grace of God, in recovery for 7 years.
Can you imagine Hunter, while in the Ukraine on crack, uttering the words, well, that wouldn't be appropriate. Well, I could get you in touch with my father, but that wouldn't be appropriate.
Tim painting the picture. Hunter on crack in Ukraine, maintaining professionalism. I could get you in touch with my father, but that wouldn't be appropriate. Incredible. Cracked out in a foreign country, and still trying to keep it classy. Now he's telling Candace he was barely ever at the White House. 25 days. 30 if he's being fair. Great memory for a man who couldn't remember to pay a repair bill. I'm an easy target, understandably so. Yeah, mate, you filmed it.
Yeah, I definitely thought you were on drugs while your father was in the White House. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it might have just also been the timing of the laptop coming out and then people just assuming that you were still on drugs. I don't know. That might have been why in our heads we thought that.
I think that it was that they purposely conflated. I wrote a book, and which came out in April of 2021, in which I did something that very few people, I think, ever in that are kind of like similarly situated to me do. In which I was 100% frank about the fact that not only was I an addict, not only was I alcoholic. I don't really see the distinction between the two. One, they're both drugs, but I was a crack addict. Like, I was a degenerate crack addict.
That's not what, there's no way. It was Hunter Unleashed. He's running around that country on crack. There's no way he was following any type of protocol for the son of a sitting vice president. It's impossible. That's not the way crackheads operate. Have you seen a crackhead? Have you ever seen a crackhead? I'm not saying you've had to be a crackhead. I've never been a crackhead per se, but I've been a drug addict. I've been a cokehead. And if I was in the Ukraine and my father was vice president, I would have been wild. And that's what he was.
Degenerate crack addict. His words, his self-description. In the same interview where he wants you to see him as a human being and not HunterBiden laptop. Both of those things happening in the same sit-down. And Tim, who has also done drugs, who knows exactly what he's talking about, puts it simply, that is not how crackheads operate. If Tim was the VP's son loose in Ukraine on crack, he would have been wild. And that's what Hunter was. Tim is right. He's been right about all of it. Hunter Biden was the vice president's son, cracked out, on camera, in a foreign country, making business contacts for his dad. And now he's on tour. Wants to be of service. The nerve on this bloke, mate.
Crack cocaine carries such a stigma to it to begin with. But I say it because I think that there are so many people. I know. There are so many people. I think that there's, at any given time, 30 million Americans that are either in active addiction or in recovery. There's not a single person that I know that hasn't been impacted by addiction at some level, in some form, personally, or with someone that is 1 degree of separation from them that they love. No one. What happened to me, and I really mean this, is that the exposure, not piecemeal, but the total exposure, my entire digital footprint stolen from me, a 20-year digital footprint, every text message, every picture, all of the things that you would be ashamed of became front page news for 4 years, 5 years, beginning in 2019. And it forced me into a choice. And the choice was, do I get out of bed and live, or do I die? And it became that much of a dichotomy. And I chose to live. And it wasn't easy. And maintaining sobriety in that kind of like a pressure cooker is often the thing that triggers you. But something broke in me in a good way, which was that I no longer have any fear. I sitting down with you is, to me, an opportunity for you to see me as a human being and not Hunter Biden laptop
Yeah.
and the pictures that, Congressman Green, put up in Congress.
Gentlemen, time's expired. Chair recognizes Ms. Green from Georgia for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words.
Whoa!
I think it's clear and obvious for everyone watching this hearing today that Hunter Biden is terrified of strong conservative Republican women because he can't even face my words as I was about to speak to him.
I have a community of people out there that I want to be of service to. I really mean that, and part of it is by me being able to be honest about it. We were just talking before we started this. Is the hardest thing for any addict to do is not only get honest with the people that they love, but to get honest with themselves. And until they can really see themselves for who they are, all of it, and decide to love themselves, then the cycle is just going to continue. It's just, at least in my experience, that's the truth.
There it is. 3 minutes of Hunter Biden asking you to see him as a human being. And look, getting sober is real. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't matter. But here's what he left out of those 3 minutes. The Burisma board seat. $83,000 a month. No relevant experience. Because of who his father was, the gun charge. Buying a firearm while a crack addict and lying on the federal form. That's a federal crime. The pardon, a blanket covering 10 years of potential federal exposure. Signed by Dad on the way out the door. He mentioned the laptop once, as something done to him. My entire digital footprint stolen from me. Hunter, you left it at a repair shop and didn't pay the bill. That's not your digital footprint being stolen. That's leaving your diary in a library and acting shocked when someone reads it. Nice guy Hunter has a book out. The painting sold. And now there's a debate. He wants to be the adult in the room. Let's see how that goes.
Forget about Israeli politics and Netanyahu, because I think we agree about Bibi Netanyahu. I'm positive we do. And I've listened to you talk about it. But you got to understand. Look at me, man.
I see.
It hurts. It hurts.
Does it?
Nick, I promise you it does. When you compare my wife's family to cookies going to an oven, it hurts, and you've got to understand that. And by the way, I'm looking at you, and I believe that you do know that.
See, that's where you lose me. That's where you lose me.
Okay, Nick. Okay, I'm telling you.
Well, listen, are we here to talk, or are you here to lecture me and preach to me?
Okay, no, you're right. Let me listen.
Okay.
So you're right. You were talking about how you were raised on, like, Mark Levin in high school.
Right.
And the thing that you liked the most about Mark Levin is how cruel he was to the callers. I don't get that. I like the joke about the cookies. It may be a joke and it may be edgelording and you may not really mean it, but you got to realize the cruelty to it. And without going like, oh, like, wham, like, people got to stop crying about the past. And that's the thing, is that I think that you have such an opportunity to talk to a generation of disaffected, angry, legitimately angry people in a way in which is positive without having to do that shit. And by the way, and I'm not holding you responsible for, like, the end of my conception of Western civilization, which is different than yours, but I just don't get it. I don't get why you find the cruelty. And I think that, by the way, that's why you like Trump. I got friends who are Jewish that are going to be really, really fucking pissed off that I'm sitting next to you. And what do I tell them? What do I tell them why it's okay for me to sit and have this conversation with you?
I guess I just have such a different opinion of that. Why should we have to explain ourselves to talk to anybody? And why is it that saying the wrong words or making a particular joke makes it so the Jewish person wouldn't want to watch my show? I have a lot of Jewish fans. I mean, some of my best friends are Jewish. I've had Jewish employees, and they recognize that just because I'm not necessarily nice all the time doesn't mean I'm hateful, doesn't mean, I don't even think they see it as cruel. I think they see it as it's a little rough around the edges. And maybe that's the difference, is I guess it's just attributing this weight to something that can considered a joke and maybe doesn't have a cruel intention behind it. Like, Mark Levin, you got to remember at the end of the day, it's an entertainment show. It's entertainment. People call in, he gets frustrated with them. It's part of what I do on my show. And it's not always nice, but it's funny. And I don't think it's mean-spirited necessarily, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. So, I mean, the thought that I would, like, for example, with you, people would say, why do you talk to Hunter Biden? His father and his DOJ froze your money and put you on a no-fly list, I'd say, so what? I mean, it's just talking. I don't think talking's a big deal, you know?
Froze my money and put me on a no-fly list, too.
There you go. See, so we got that in common.
Hunter Biden came in here trying to be the adult in the room, and then the no-fly list came up, and Hunter said, "I don't know anybody that can hear you after you say that. It delegitimizes everything." Hunter Biden, the man who filmed himself doing crack, talking about what delegitimizes a conversation. The man whose dad just signed a blanket pardon covering 10 years of federal crimes on the way out of the White House, wants to lecture about credibility. He doesn't have any left, mate. His dad signed it away on the way out the door.
I don't know anybody that can hear you after you say that, including myself. It delegitimizes everything, because I don't think that you, a little bit of more compassion.
Let's try to stay a little, I don't want to do any character attacks on Nick.
I'm not attacking his character. I'm not attacking, I promise you, I'm
no,
not.
but as far as compassion, I more just mean straightforward. Do you feel like the rise in anti-Semitic online influencers post-October 7th has given Israel more ammunition to work with in terms of casting everyone who opposes what they're doing as just like a rabid Jew hater?
In some cases, yeah, in some cases, sure. But I also think that's overstated, because I think that, you know, look, let's just be honest. I do believe the political left wants to make the Israel issue very narrow. And they want to say that the issue is this genocide in Palestine. And on some level, they think that the Israeli government is racist.
You f***ing baying pig! You f***ing bloodthirsty, violent pig dog!
And that's the problem. And I think that that ignores that there is a broader conversation, and it does have to do with the Holocaust, and it does have to do with Jews as such, and Jewish nationalism and Jewish identity. So to try to shoehorn it in and say, well, if anybody goes further than this very narrow critique of Israel, well, they're actually helping Israel, I don't agree with that. I think we have to unpack the whole conversation.
Well, do you care a lot about Palestinians?
Not more than I care about anybody else.
So I guess that would be why they would be like, okay, you're just taking advantage of this discourse.
I don't think it's taking advantage. I think that we can sympathize with the Palestinians while also realizing that, you know, look, I'm an American. And so it's a tragedy what's happening in Palestine, but there's tragedies happening all over the world. My problem is that Israel has this influence over our government.
And that's where we end up. Hunter Biden, convicted felon, degenerate crack addict by his own description, owner of the world's most famous laptop, Burisma board member, recipient of a 10-year blanket presidential pardon in a debate, trying to be the credible one. The last thing you hear, Israel has too much influence over the American government, from Hunter Biden, whose father was president for 4 years. Look, the nice guy tour is not done. There will be more interviews, more Mother Teresa quotes. Hunter Biden has decided he's a changed man, and he would very much like your sign-off on that. But the laptop is still out there. The pardon is still the broadest in modern history. The 10 grand call is still on tape. And somewhere, Joe Biden has dementia and probably can't remember signing any of it. Go home and love your family. Cheers, guys. I'll see you in the next one.